Welcome, horror fam, to HHN365, a Halloween Horror Nights podcast. My name is Mike, and I'm here with my co-host, Duff.
Hey, guys.
And we have our producer, Nico, on the line.
Hey, howdy, hey.
On today's show, we actually have another house dissection for you. We're going to be dissecting an oldie but a goodie, and actually with a guest, and not just any guest. We actually have one of the HHN podfathers. That would be Matt from Neozaz, one of the original hosts of Catacombs of Halloween Horror Nights. How's it going, Matt?
Man, that is the first time someone said original host of the show. I've really I know changes went, but man, that one struck hard. That one, no, I'm happy to be here though, regardless of that. But that's the first time I've heard that out loud.
I mean, we had Hunter on somewhat recently, so we had to show him some respect as the current host.
Correct.
One of the current hosts.
Yes, he's doing a great job, so I understand.
All right, but before we get to the dissection, we actually have some news and rumors to go over. A lot of news, don't we, guys?
Yeah, quite a bit.
I would say so.
For one.
Yeah.
And I think you guys can, I don't want to pat myself on the back, but I think you can thank me for this, because I was actually listening to your Ghostbusters house dissection to prepare myself, and you were talking about news, and I'm like, at the time I was listening to it, I'm like, oh man, we're not going to have anything to talk about when I'm on, and then bam. That day, like over the past 48 hours, all this stuff happened.
Oh, yeah, no, there's so much news. It's all
It has
piled
been
up.
insane. And, I'm sure, like every HHN fan, we love it because it's been a very dry off season. Interesting one for us to start a podcast, I guess.
Right? Right. We expected that by this point we would be like talking, like doing hype lists and just basically have the meat off the bones. Exactly.
Going off of Peacock Live.
Peacock Live. Doesn't that feel like that was just like a lifetime ago?
Oh my
that's
goodness. So
Yes.
far.
Oh my
Absolutely
gosh.
insane.
Yeah. Speaking of Peacock Live, I believe you are also going to send Hunter to Peacock Live,
Yes.
weren't you?
Yes, we were. Yep.
Yeah.
We were all ready to send them there. And he just all really he had to do was just arrange it. We were going to take care of it, and then I was like, okay, well, world's a little weird right now, so sorry, Hunter.
Yeah, we actually planned on having Duff Head there as well, and it just everything didn't go right.
That was a bad week.
I'm at a loss for words how to describe it anymore. We just did a bumper for one of our other shows, and I'm like, there's this moment of silence. I'm like, I have no other words to keep describing this, so I'll just say interesting times and leave it at that.
Right?
Interesting describes it well. So, you know what?
Yeah.
Let's go with that.
Hey, future us here. We wanted to quickly, there was a bit of news, so we want to quickly get you covered in this before we release the episode. Duff, what happened?
So, as you may know by now, the facade for the tribute store has started going up. It's really taking shape. And it has been confirmed by team members that it should be opening this Friday, which would be the 24th of July, I believe.
Yes, July 24th.
So that sounds like actual confirmation. I mean, the team members are saying it at the park. So, I'll say that's announced. It's official. The only question here is, what is it going to entail? There's been no announcement so far. And, if they're going by the past few years, that there's going to be themed rooms to like the IPs or even the icons, who knows?
Right.
But if those haven't been announced, obviously they're not going to do that. So the question is, people have been speculating an announcement tomorrow, which would be July 23rd, the date we drop this. Does that happen? Or do they open with just a generic room that, doesn't give anything away? And just like the retro merch they've been selling.
And then build from there, maybe just it's one room and then expand to the 3 rooms once they get closer to the event.
Exactly. Or as some even say, do they just do a mass release and everything comes out? I don't think that happens tomorrow. Personally, I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Yeah, it would be very strange for them to release merch and basically a day after announcing what's going to be there. That is not something they have done before, but we are in strange territory as well for COVID-19. So who knows?
See, I don't think they're going to force these announcements just to get the merch store open.
Yeah, I agree.
I think they could push what they've released online in a single room, call it a day. That's what I expect. I do not predict there to be an announcement tomorrow. It could be. Who knows? It seems like a time because even in normal years, when BOGO ends, is typically when they start announcing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
and BOGO is when this is released. BOGO will have just ended.
yes, and the 22nd. So
Yeah,
I hope if you're listening, I hope you already bought it. If you're planning on doing frequent fear, just to kind of hedge your bets,
yes,
you can always upgrade. That's what we've done. Well, that's what they're about to do and what I've done.
Yes, I'm buying my ticket as we speak, actually.
Yep, right now. Clocking out. There we go.
So I think we're kind of in agreement here. We don't expect further announcements, so we're not going to see the full tribute store just yet, right?
Yeah, probably not. I can't imagine that tribute store is pretty elaborate, and I can't imagine they have been working on it. I mean, I guess they could have been, but yeah.
Now we'll be able to see if we'll be able to get our favorite Horror Nights house smell through our masks. It'll be a good test to see.
It's going to smell like HHN. I mean, when they did the Mardi Gras one, it still smelled like HHN. So we're going to get a little bit of fix in July.
Yeah, hopefully we can smell it through our masks, though.
Yeah,
that's the big thing.
Do you do your scent test before you leave the house? Spray some Lysol in front of the mask and see if you can smell it?
Yeah, I should probably do that before I go.
Well, I want it to fail when I walk into the tribute store.
Right.
I guess we don't expect an announcement, but we're excited about the tribute store either way. See all the merch
that's right.
been online in person, so that's nice.
Okay, back to past us, I guess. But let's get into some really, really fun news. If you listen to we didn't time this on purpose. If you listen to our last episode, we talked about a lot of the merch and the retro shirts. It looks like we are getting 30th anniversary retro merch.
Yes, we are.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. Duff, do you want to kind of go over what they have already listed in the shop?
Yeah, absolutely. If you listen to last episode, listen to 1 through 4, you got it. I'm kidding. So yeah, they have the Fright Night shirt, which they accidentally mislabeled 1990, which has been since pulled. They're going to update it to 91, I would assume and hope. They also had our number 1 shirt on last week's top 10, which was the 92 logo that has the chainsaw going through the pumpkin.
Yeah, I believe we wished that to happen. We're like, if this has to happen, right? And it did.
I think we said last week that this shirt has to come this year, right?
Yeah, I think we did.
We'll take credit for it.
Here we go. 4 days after we dropped it. Also the 1999 Mummy shirt, and then the 2000 Jack shirt. And they also have this in. Actually, they don't have the shirts anymore. They're all out currently. Sorry, guys. But they'll probably be restocked. They also have shot glasses, socks, posters, and pins.
Yeah.
But with this drop, we also did see what is likely to be their tagline, which is 30 years, 30 fears, which is very close to the typical blank years of fears. But, it does the job.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely sticks with that 90s aesthetic. Uses very similar fonts to a couple of the shirts we mentioned and colors as well. So it looks like that is going to be the vibe we get throughout HHN30.
Yeah. Looks like some of the rumors are kind of coming true that the HHN30 might have kind of a retro vibe, like an early 90s feel.
Which, again, last episode we talked about a lot. We absolutely love that idea. And here it is.
Yep.
Also, another big announcement of something that's come back from the dead. You might remember, what was it, a month ago, maybe? A month and a half? We announced that Scare Actor Dining was canceled for this year, actually by representatives at Universal saying that they would not be hosting it. It's now back up on the website, and it looks like Scare Actor Dining is happening with social distancing. They describe it as keeping social distancing in mind. For photos with characters, guests will be positioned in a designated spot that is 6 feet away from the characters. You will not be able to make physical contact with the characters at this time. And that's really the only thing on the site they have that differentiates it from a normal scare actor dining year.
Those are going to be some long tables that they're sitting at. Like, comically long tables.
They're just going to be stilt walkers. They're just going to be on stilts, like walking around.
Now, I'd also have to imagine that it's not going to be a buffet this year, right?
Oh, yeah. Good point.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that, but yeah, geez.
Like, I think at Disney, they're doing like family style dining where they bring out the massive amounts to your table.
Yeah.
So maybe something along those lines.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of the dinner shows and things that are still used to run buffet style have now kind of converted to like, well, no, we'll bring out a certain amount for the table. And I have imagined that's what they will be doing too, but who knows?
And then I was cutting you off, Matt. I apologize.
Oh no, it's all good. I was just going to say this might be so far, and I'm going to preface it by saying so far the most bizarre thing to happen this season, to have them confirm it wasn't, and everyone resided to the fact that it was gone, and then for it to pop up again. I can't recall something like that turning around that fast any other season.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's because their answer for everything else has been stay tuned for more details. But
yeah, true.
Like, for this one, they said nope, not happening. Sorry, guys. So for them to actually make that decision at some point and then completely do a 180 is very interesting.
That must have just been
could have been the customer service person's last day too, and they just didn't.
Right. I think it went by someone like executive's desk, and he's like, "No, we need to make this work. Rethink this."
Right. Oh yeah. Right.
It's just prints money for him.
Yeah, exactly.
It's definitely it makes a lot of money because what does it usually have, like 5 scare actors in there maybe, and you're paying a lot more than they're paying for that food. So
yeah.
Have you guys ever done it?
None of us have actually.
No, we haven't.
None have I actually.
No, we actually were planning on going this year. For the content.
Yeah.
And then it got canceled. We're like, oh, okay. As someone who doesn't love character dining, I don't hate that. I don't have to go. Cool.
Right. Yeah.
Now I have to go. But they are coming up and interacting with me, so I'll live.
Yep.
All right. Another interesting kind of news, I would say, is there was interesting sign outside of Fear Factor stage. Duff, do you want to talk about that?
Yes. So it was a few days ago. They put out a sign saying that Fear Factor was closed for Halloween Horror Night preparation. So everyone freaked out. That means there's a show. By the next day, I believe it was, they changed the sign to one that just said Fear Factor will be closed for the day. So there's kind of like speculation, was this completely an accident? Someone just put out the wrong sign? Or was it they put it out, it blew up on Twitter, and they went, oh shit, we haven't announced anything. We should probably not put that sign out yet.
Right.
It's probably that one, because there was stuff going in on there last Saturday when I was there.
Into the stage itself?
I could just see like there was activity happening there, like through like the little spots and stuff.
Because I do know it's one of the, what do they call them? The U-rest areas. And people actually get to walk into the seating. And there wasn't any visible changes by the stage.
It could have very well been that then.
Maybe. I don't know. Do you guys have any predictions on whether you think a show is coming or if it was just simply a mistake?
I don't know. I'm not well versed enough in knowing like how popular the shows are here, so.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on the record that I think that shows are going to probably be needed for HHN30 if they need to, try to get as many people as possible doing something, so they're not just loitering in the streets. I think shows are a good way to do that. We've heard some strong rumors that shows might get the axe for some reason, but I don't personally think that's true. I think the shows really would help with HHN30, and we've seen that they are able to do shows with the Born Stuntacular, that they are still doing shows and doing their social distancing guidelines. So I don't see why they couldn't necessarily do that at the Fear Factor stage or around the lagoon if they, just created little boxes that where you stand it in and assigned you a box.
I'm on your side with the belief that maybe it should be done. Just kind of have somewhere to put the crowds rather than wandering the streets. I think with the lower crowd levels, it shouldn't be too much of an issue to social distance within the theater, especially. Do I know, or am I going to pretend to know what they're going to do? No, not at all. I'm not going to take a full guess at this one. I believe it would help, but there's been such strong rumors that they don't want to do it that I don't know which way to go.
Fair.
Great. All right. Duff, do you want to take the next one? Because I know you're really excited about this one. I am excited too, but do you want to talk about this next one?
This isn't really HHN news. I don't know why this is just dropped in the middle of our news.
We sure what this is, like housekeeping maybe.
Yeah, but going back to the last episode, we did that top 10 shirt. We had Igor from Haunt Vault on as our guest, and we announced that we'll be doing a collaboration with Haunt Vault, and it's now available. It's a Slaughter Cinema-based shirt that takes inspiration from the horror alumni shirt, and it's awesome, and you should go check it out. That's all I got.
It's a fantastic design.
Thank you.
It is awesome.
Yeah, that's something. Yeah. We've kind of had a few designs we've been sitting on, and we don't have our own shop, and we've kind of wanted to be able to get them out, and Hunt Vault gave us the opportunity, and it came out better than we could have ever imagined.
Yeah, super happy with it.
So if you go to huntvault.com, you could take a peek at that on their shop. It looks fantastic, and I want like 8 of them because they have about 75 different colors you can choose from for the shirt.
Oh, yes.
They do. All right. Another bit of news is that external auditions have now officially opened. Before they were just doing internal auditions. Looks like they have now opened up auditions kind of for everyone. If you can find that link and definitely audition, it is out there.
Yep. And that's going to be, you have to July 20th.
It is a fun experience, whether you get cast or not. I can attest to that. I have done it once in 2014, no less, which we'll get to.
How appropriate.
How appropriate.
All right. And the last bit of, do you want to take this one, Duff? This is a last bit. I would put this in rumors.
So it kind of is a rumor, but we have news on the rumor, I guess you could say. So you're probably well aware, we've talked about it multiple times, the rumor that Halloween Horror Nights in Hollywood would not take place this year. It would be canceled. And there has been aerial footage of the tents being taken down. You can definitely see the facades. They're completely gone in 2 of the tents. So, that kind of puts a nail in the coffin, I'd say. Because we're at a point where they should be well ahead of where they were. And I've seen a few people say, oh, maybe they're just changing the facade. It's a little late in the game for that.
Yeah. I don't want to comment too much on it until there's official announcement, but if this is true, this is very sad for a lot of people, including us, because I know we both were planning on trying to get over there this year.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely feel for the people who attend the Hollywood event. It sucks. If that happened over here, I'd be devastated. So yeah. I can't really imagine how it feels to actually see it happen.
Yeah, my fingers are still crossed that there's some hope out, but it's not looking necessarily good with just what Governor Newsom announced about a week ago too. So, and there's a last bit of rumor stuff. Do you want to take this one? This one's another fun piece of rumors.
Sure. So I don't know the validity of this rumor, but it has been talked about a lot. So I figured we'd bring it on the show as well. There was a tweet going around saying that there was a production on the studio that involved Jack, and that it would be for HHN content that would be brought to Peacock, which, if you don't know, is going to be Universal's streaming service that actually just launched.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess basically what it would be is Jack would host you through Halloween Horror Nights, including going through the houses in the scare zones. So it'd be like a virtual tour of Horror Nights. Do we know if that means like this year or if it'd be like past years? I don't know. But that's the rumor that was going around on Twitter, at least.
Yeah, to have professionally shot footage like that would be insane.
I am so excited for this. If this is true, This is going to be so amazing. I am really, really hoping. I know we have mentioned on the show that we think that Universal is going to really utilize Peacock and try to do kind of the Disney Plus type of, at least they should try to do a lot more park content on there. And this sounds like, if this is happening, one of those things, and it's going to be amazing.
I mean, yeah, I think we on the show like kind of begged for them to put HHN content a few months ago.
Right.
So if this is true, I am ecstatic.
All right. Is that basically it, guys? I think that might cover all the news and rumors.
I believe so.
Sounds like it.
All right. Well, let's get right into our house dissection. I don't believe I mentioned it earlier in it. Matt, we actually sent it over to you and said, Matt, what is your favorite one that you want to go over? And which one did you pick?
Which one did I pick for this show, or which list did I send you?
No. Which one?
I'm just kidding. For this.
Sure, you did send us a couple. Yeah.
No, it's for this one. Alien versus Predator, which is, you said favorite, which is not. Don't get me wrong, it's not up there on my list, but it's well, we'll get into maybe why that one stood out to me that I would want to talk about it, because I wouldn't necessarily say it's my all-time favorite, but it's definitely high up there. But there's another, more of a, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, a different reason why it always comes to my mind when people ask me about houses.
Yeah. Okay.
While we're on the subject, you could take it on now. Why did you want to go over this house?
Okay, it's mainly because growing up, a sci-fi and horror lover, Aliens and Predator were like hit both those bills. So they were some of my favorite properties to watch, even though there wasn't that many movies of them while I was growing up. There's a lot more now. I always love them. I love the design of both creatures, and I love the movies and everything about them. Basically, what it comes down to is that I never thought ever would I be able to experience something that had me walk through anything based on their world and see these creatures. So this was, when it was announced, it was almost hard to believe, because it was kind of one of those back of my mind, like fantasies almost, that coming true. And it's like, I could not believe I was going to get an opportunity to see something, no matter what it was, even if it was based after the movies or wasn't. And we'll talk about that. I never thought in my lifetime, especially growing up loving these properties, I would ever have an opportunity to see something like this. So that is why it was like I said, a kind of unrealized dream come true when they announced this. And then I just went through this so many times that year.
Right. Yeah. I know when Duff and I were preparing for this, after you told us this is the one you wanted to talk about, we realized that I don't think there's ever been an HHN IP or two IPs that had so much like fan lore around them. There is so many people who are really into these particular IPs, and there's so much lore around it. This is, at the time, probably one of the bigger IPs that have ever come to the event.
At the time,
yeah. Maybe even still so. Probably could be one of the bigger ones for sure.
Yeah, if you're looking at like all-time success, it's definitely up there for sure.
And it's a shame it'll never come back.
I know, right? Yeah. I know. Yeah. Was it yeah, they both are. They're both Fox properties. Yeah. I was gonna say I know for sure Predator is, but Aliens is too. Yeah, you're right. We won't see those
unless Disney wants to do a trade again with Universal,
right?
Like with Al Michaels and Oswald the Lucky Rabbit.
I don't know. Money talks, and if Universal wanted to pay some big bucks to Disney, I think they may take it. So we'll see.
Sure. Give up your Marvel superhero island. We'll be more than happy to give Alien Predator.
All right. So the year was 2014 HHN 24, and it was housed in location Soundstage 24, which was actually shared with Dracula Untold Reign of Blood.
What talking about polar opposites in fantasy,
right? Yeah, of all the giant IPs, then there's the ones that. I want to be nice, but ones that were definitely used, IPs that were used to try to push a movie that was about to be released.
Oh, I'm so glad that I'm not going to say it's never happened again since then, but I'm glad it doesn't happen as often because it's usually lackluster because of the whole not giving anything away. So it's like whatever the best part of the movie, if the movie's any good. I mean, this is another story. If the movie's any good, you're not going to see any spoilers or best parts in the house. I'm glad that's been kind of pushed to the wayside the past few years.
Yeah, definitely.
I think is this a good time to just kind of talk about 24 in general, because I was thinking about it. We have really both Duff and I. This is a year that we have both been to. Matt, I know you've been to it. Yeah. Nico has not, but nope. We haven't really talked about 24 in general overall too much. Do you want to take a few minutes to just kind of talk about 24 in general? Just kind of set the stage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, sure.
I'll start it off by saying it has actually one of my favorite original houses ever. Can you guess what that one is? I bet you can.
Man, it should be Roanoke, but I'm not sure.
Oh no,
I love Roanoke.
No,
No.
I love Dollhouse of the Dam.
That's a good one.
There's really not a bad choice between. Was there 3 of them? Dollhouse of the Dam, Giggles and Gore, and Roanoke. There's really not a bad choice between those 3.
No, there's not. They were actually obviously they only had 3 of them.
Yeah,
but the consistency across originals that year was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah,
they were all very good. Like you guys alluded to, definitely an IP heavy year. It was kind of right in the smack dab was when we were starting getting all these IPs gently shoved down our throats. And I think, but most of them were pretty good this year. I have to say the IPs, even smack dab right in the middle of the Walking Dead years. Yeah. I think we can all agree that this Walking Dead house was utilized pretty well.
Yeah, it was. I think the best one. I
agree, and that's what I was going to say. I think people forget that there was a good Walking Dead house because of the Walking Dead fatigue. By the time we were done with it, and this was the by far my favorite one. This is where they should have stopped. They should have walked out on a high note on that one.
I would. Yeah. Although I thought 26 was actually the second best one, so I'll give it that.
But that was like we're sorry about 25 house because 25 was so atrocious.
Yeah. But yeah, I think overall 24, it was a really fun year. I really enjoyed it. It was a year that I went probably the most because I worked at Universal at the time in events. So I would do a Stay and Scream, like working the Stay and Scream thing, letting people in. As soon as we teared down the screen, Stay and Scream, like kind of row, then I was free to roam, get off and roam. And so I would do that often. So I got to go to this event quite a bit. So I was really enjoyed this one.
Mm-hmm. And then, I mean, if you want to talk about just the general quality houses outside the originals, we're about to talk about AvP, which obviously we enjoyed. We're talking about it. Halloween is some people's absolute favorite house.
Oh, absolutely.
That was fantastic too.
Such a good house. I mean, it was just a year where you could say half the houses were like really top notch.
Yeah. I know what Nico's favorite house would have been.
Yep. From Dusk Till Dawn.
God. Yeah, absolutely.
Which one?
From Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh, yeah.
Are you familiar with that property, Nico?
Not really, to be honest with you.
Really?
Well, I think
kind of shocked.
I think you would have gone through it and then you would have quickly Googled it and added it to your Netflix queue after going through this house. So we'll leave it at that.
All right. That's something I'll have to put on my watch list.
Yes, for sure. We know you're infatuated with hot houses, so there you go.
Okay. Yeah, that would definitely be.
Every time we said the term hot house on our show, this is what conjures into my mind or images from this house.
Yeah.
No matter what year we're talking about.
Yeah, this is the epitome of what a hot house kind of looks like. Yeah.
I mean, hot diggity.
Comes right from the movie, so you know.
But basically, for I think if I'm remembering correctly, it starts and ends in the strip club, more or less. Maybe not the end stinger, but I mean, when you're bookend with that, it's hard not to be the hot house of the year.
I mean, and if you are working with that property, why do you not use the strip club as much?
Right, yeah. Well, especially since the facade entrance was the strip club. If you walked into an alley or a car dealership from that entrance, you'd be pretty disappointed.
Right.
Did you want to talk about the scare zones and shows at all?
Well, yeah, just quickly.
I would at least mention Purge because that was a phenomenal scare zone that year.
Yeah, I believe we mentioned that early
Was that last week or 2 episodes ago?
We're kind of like low-key suckers for the purge zones, not necessarily the purge houses.
I agree. Yep.
But the zones have always been done really good.
It reminds me so much more of the feeling of the purge, having it out on the street like that. It might have to do with the second movie being basically outside in the streets, but for some reason it works better in that more chaotic atmosphere than the conga line, because you're going to walk past everything. I've always, even when it came back 2 years later, I still was happy to see it because I just think it works really well in that part of the park. Agreed.
I think the thing about the purge too is like it feels so real, I guess you could say. Like it's literally just people, they're going out abducting others and attacking others, and it just feels like it's living and breathing, and you're actually in it. Which you can't say for a lot of scare zones. At least recently.
Talking about the truck that would come in and kidnap people, and the first time I saw that, I was texting Quint, actually, of all people, just letting him know how awesome that year was, because he was about to come 2-3 weeks later, and I sent whatever I sent and looked up like right in the middle of that actually happening, of her getting grabbed and pulled on a truck, and it actually kind of took me a second to get my bearings and figure out what the hell I just saw.
Right. Yeah, I remember it. Oh, no, go ahead. No, I was gonna say I remember also like the opening ceremony that year of the whole purge the countdown, and all the purge characters kind of like running towards the fence. It was pretty insane. I remember it being really cool.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the one thing about this scare zone too is that it was intense. It was very intense. Obviously, a lot of that is done by the actual scare actors and what they put into it. But just what that property is and throwing it, like you said, like in the streets, that just works so well.
Yeah, didn't they have motorcycles too, or am I making that up?
Yeah,
nope. They had two.
I think it was dirt bikes, but
dirt bikes. With the truck. I forget if they're on either side or behind it or in front of it, but I remember it was part of the truck.
Yeah, definitely. And then if you want to hop over to shows, this was the last year of Rocky Horror, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if it was the last. Yeah, you might be right, but it was a Rocky Horror year, which I do miss. That was my generation's The Room, so I kind of missed that. The theater experience part, I should say. The movie's much older than me, but the theater experience was The Room part. Just to put that out there, I'm not that old yet. I'm getting there, but not yet.
Yeah, I think we're both Rocky Horror fans, right?
Okay. I'm not a huge fan. I don't hate it by any means, but I really kind of liked the kind of condensed version that was at Horror Nights.
Yes, that was fun.
Yeah,
I thought that was a little more enjoyable for me than actually going to the theater and sitting through the hour and a half show.
Yeah, which we've done. What was it? Just once?
We only done it together once. Yeah.
Yeah, I've done it a couple of. Yeah, you have.
I've gone multiple times. Yeah.
Yeah,
I've done it more than I am going to admit.
Yeah, I am definitely not a virgin when it comes to seeing the midnight show.
Those are fun. Any other zones or shows from 24 we kind of want to briefly discuss? I remember Face Off. Then there was like, wasn't there like a Masquerade? Bayou of
Blood deserves a shout out.
That one's a good one. Yeah, I remember.
I think it's kind of ushered us into more of the having a stage show within the scare zone. That hasn't always been, well, it kind of was common before, and then there was a period where it kind of dropped off. But you really had it in full force for the scare zone.
Yeah, this is one of those years I have something positive to say about all of them. So that's not a real clunker here. Face Off is it seems to be hot and cold depending on who to talk to, but I was a real big fan of the show at the time, so I was eager to see it no matter what they did. So that's probably a little bit of built-in bias on that.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm one of the people who knocks Face Off. So
okay, that's I get it.
It just felt too much like they were showing off the talent rather than an actual scare zone, which I guess isn't a bad thing, but at that point I preferred something separate than a scare zone.
I'll be honest, I think execution wise it was done pretty good. What I don't like about a Face Off is kind of mostly kind of what it stands for. It's kind of one of those that's was utilized more just kind of to push a popular Universal IP at the time.
Oh, for sure.
and to drive viewers of something that was currently going.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong.
Which, I mean, you can't fully knock them for it. It's what they're going to do.
No, yeah, absolutely.
I'll take this over Zombieland Return.
Oh.
Or Double Tap.
I think I'll take almost any Scare Zone over Zombieland.
Yeah. All right. Should we finally hop into the main event, the one that we're going to be talking about from this year?
Yep, let's do it.
Let's do it. So, yeah, like we said, it's housed in Soundstage 24. If you have been 29, that was the same one that housed both us and Yeti. Those are kind of the two that were in 29, just to kind of give you an idea of where that was. The popularity, wait times, and overall reception. Correct me if I'm wrong. I remember this being quite popular throughout the event.
Yeah, that's my memory too. This is the time when I would just buy Express like 2 or 3 nights, depending on if I was with a crowd that was with Express. So most of my wait times were in the standby line or whatever. I'm not sure what you call it for Horror Nights. I think about it, but and it was always long. I would be reading a book on the Kindle app on my phone, extensively that season.
If I remember correctly, it was definitely like battling The Walking Dead in wait times.
Absolutely. It was one of the main IPs of the year, along with Halloween and The Walking Dead, and it was definitely very popular. I would say like an average. We usually like to throw a number on it. An average of about 60 plus minutes for what you would experience for waiting.
That sounds right to me.
Ads, TV spots, social media. I do believe there was a release video dropped. There was obviously an Archway poster. And then it was also mentioned in the official commercial, if I don't remember. It was like Walking Dead, also featuring AvP.
So they did their normal, they created an HHN commercial that was fully based around The Walking Dead. And then afterwards they did featuring, and they named every IP.
Oh, yeah, okay.
AvP was one of them. They did get a pretty cool release video that mixed clips of the movies. I think actually just AvP. And then, clips of people getting scared. But it got a full release video.
Looked like AvP. And it's so funny now. Like at the time, it was like, and still just even a few years ago, it was, I loved it. I love those release videos. But we've talked about these so much on our show and talked about it with other people about the kind of almost formulaic rut they got into of people jumping and screaming. Watching it again today was a little more funnier than it's been in the past, I should say.
Yeah.
It's a trend they've continued for sure.
Yes.
Merch, I definitely remember like t-shirts and other kind of assorted stuff. I don't remember anything standing out necessarily, but I know there was definitely like t-shirts and stuff, right, guys?
I know they had at least the one standalone shirt, standard AvP, and then it was on the house shirt, of course.
And then it was also one of, I think, 3 of the event guide covers that year too.
Ah, okay. There you go.
Nice. I think it was that Halloween and it had to be another. Oh, Walking Dead, of course. Duh. That's always Walking Dead.
That's the one I remember, unfortunately for me.
Awesome. AvP was the one I went out of my way to grab some out of the rack on the way out the nights they had those, because they were free souvenirs and it looked cool. It was a cool graphic.
I always regret not saving everyone I can, but then I realized I'd throw them out a year later. So it's
I still have mine. The pathetic part is they're in a box that's covered in my closet with the door shut. I'm like, they're doing a lot of good in there with not anyone, including myself, even seeing them. So I don't know why I do it, but I can't bring myself to throw them away.
Don't get me wrong. I collect the most ridiculous stuff, like park tickets and stuff. But for some reason, when it comes to park maps, I'm like, no, that's all right.
I remember when 25 was around and it was all over Publix, like even down like the snack aisle ways with those hangover things that doesn't sound right, but the things that hung over the shelves. I remember seeing one at the front of the register because the little pegs got tore off and the girl went to pick it up, put it in the trash. I'm like, no, I'll take that. She looked at me like I was absolutely insane.
See, I would take that for sure.
Just hiding out behind the Publix on November 1st.
Oh yeah, right, yeah.
Just waiting by the dumpster. All right, here they come.
Here they go.
Oh my God, I can't believe 30 years it's taken me to. I didn't even think of it to hear that idea.
Right, that's it. Just Publix dumpster. You got all the HHN stuff you can need.
I'll
Hell,
reach
if
out
it's
to a
expensive
contact.
brisket, I want this folded cardboard piece.
I'll try to reach out to a contact I have at Publix Corporate to see if maybe we can get some.
Appreciate it.
Perfect, Nick. All right. So pre-event history, we do know that I believe the code word. There's usually a code word for each house. This one was evac, which is a reference to the famous line "Get to the chopper."
Isn't this also the year that Transformers opened, with the main character being evac?
Is it?
Nico,
What year is this?
Oh,
wasn't it 2014? Yeah,
that might be. All right, y'all vamp. Keep talking. I'll try to confirm to see if this is
when
right
it
or
comes
not.
when it comes to remembering these dates, actually, I'm very impressed. Even if you're within like 5 years, because everything for me happened last year, 5 years ago, or 1990.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That happens to me a lot. I don't know why I would remember that, but I feel like I'm pretty confident this one was 2014.
It was definitely open because I worked there, but I don't know if it opened that same year. So I know that it has. I think it may have opened 2013, but
Yep, June 20th, 2013. But I'm still damn impressed that you're within a year.
We were
because
close.
I would have never guessed that. I would have said 2017.
I tried, and so I'll still give it the double reference because it was open.
All right. Well, the official announcement actually came on August 4th. 2014, which August 4th is actually my birthday. And it was announced it was coming to both coasts at this. It was to be a celebration of not only the 10th anniversary of the Alien versus Predator movie, but also the 35th anniversary of the original Alien.
I didn't know that until I saw these notes you guys put together. I had no idea even that year. So this is all news to me, which is really cool that that's even a part of the history of this house.
No, that's perfect because it was news to us too.
Yeah. We found it out in research. Yeah.
I remember the announcements for this year, and we weren't, and I certainly was not tracking them. That we didn't even talk about doing the show yet. So I just was what my history was with the event, and I kind of got accustomed to, and this might not be true every year, but accustomed to the originals being like the finale, and the originals were announced before this. So I was kind of done looking for announcements. I didn't count the houses. So when this came out post the originals, that was, I told you in the beginning, my excitement of this even existing, having that thrown at me after I thought we were already done. Like, just imagine how that kind of double, maybe tripled my excitement of hearing about this. Cause I thought we were done for the year, and then bam, here's something I thought I'd never see.
Yeah, absolutely. It must have been great having that like last huge announcement right before the event.
And then Halloween, they announced like 3 days later, within a week later too. So it's like on top of that, that's one of the all-time classics. No matter what your horror experience is, what that movie is. So to find out I'm walking through these two properties after kind of already preparing myself for the year was a fun year. It was a fun year all around, preseason and season.
Yeah, and I think people kind of forget, because it was kind of tucked in those Walking Dead years, and it just gets generally trashed. But 24 had a lot of good stuff.
It did, yeah.
It also, in that that kind of press release, it said that, or was this an Orlando Sentinel article?
Orlando Sentinel from Mike Aiello. Statement.
Oh, gotcha. So he's quoted to say, puppetry, costumes, and unique environments have been created in collaboration with 20th Century Fox. So he's basically saying that a lot of these puppets and things were you directly collaborated with from 20th Century Fox, which when we get to it, it looks like some of these puppets are really, really good. And we have definitely theories of that, if some of this might have came directly from Fox, but it was really good.
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk about it a little bit now. Why not? But the puppets used for the xenomorphs in this house are some of the best puppets I've ever seen at Halloween Horror Nights.
Oh, absolutely.
It would be hard to imagine that these weren't like original molds for the latex costumes in the movies weren't somehow involved in making these, because they're that good and that's and proportionally sized well too. It's not like they mess with your perspective. They're, if a guy was in that costume, it would be that size, at least from what I remember.
Yeah, no, they were definitely a bit towering. So, I mean, again, one of the most impressive pieces of costume or puppet I've seen at the event.
For sure. All right, let's hop right into it. So there's really it's a soundstage, so there's really no outside facade. And also there was really nothing special about the queue. It was just kind of a normal queue, just kind of leading up to Soundstage 24. But then once you get in, that's when it really starts to get great. Do you want to take this first one, Duff, this inside facade?
Yeah, sure. So you walk in and you kind of hear the sounds of what will kind of sound like a jungle, I guess you could put it, chirping and stuff in the background. It's also raining. There's thunder, flashes of lightning throughout. And the first thing you kind of see, obviously the base of the building in the back, but is a large truck with the Weyland-Yutani logo on it. And this thing was actually pretty massive too.
That was the jaw dropper moment, turning that. I want to say turning a corner into there. I don't think you did. I think you kind of walked straight in. But when I got a good look at it, and just this very alien-esque looking vehicle from the things from Aliens, and then the Weyland-Yutani logo, that was my jaw dropped, and I'm about to get completely in another world, just another few feet from this when we get to that part.
Oh yeah, definitely. They set the stage for this so well.
Yep.
With not just these props, but the effects around you. Like you really felt you were about to walk into, I guess you'd call it the Weyland-Yutani base.
Yeah, it was like a base for sure.
And then as you get closer, you notice there were screams coming in from inside that building. There are radio calls which seemed to be coming from the truck that we couldn't fully make out. They were probably saying something important, but we don't know what they said. But they sound very panicked.
Yes.
And then you see, I hope this is the right terminology, but the plasma caster of the Predator, it's
laser sight. Yeah.
Like the 3-point triangle sight or whatever you can call it. I don't know what its name is either. I just
we tried to look it up
in the beginning, and I don't know what the hell it's called.
That's the closest we got. But the laser sights, the like 3-pronged ones.
Yeah, I think this is perfect time to say that we are going to be totally wrong when it comes to we are not necessarily into the lore of either of these properties. I think you are a little bit more than us, Matt. So we're going to be. Please don't take offense if we call something that has a distinct name. We call it something very generic and embarrassing, because we probably will.
So to be generic, the Predator's laser sight was moving along the building. So you kind of know what you're getting into at this point.
Yes. I'm sure it has a name, a very distinct name, but it's its laser sight.
I can hear some of the listeners right now pushing up their glasses and saying, "Oh, I know."
Oh, and they should, because like we said,
absolutely.
this both of these properties have huge lore and backstories that we're just not really honed into. We both, I think, we enjoy both all the properties. I think we've seen most of the movies. We just don't necessarily, we're not really into the comics or the video games necessarily. But we enjoy it all, right? Right, Duff?
Yeah,
I can speak
definitely.
for you.
Yeah, both properties for sure. Even the actual Alien vs. Predator series. The first one I enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. So then once you kind of go into the base, and then you're in kind of this industrial stylized hallway, and then you have these large concrete walls. And then you have like the blue Trek lighting on the ceiling, and then there are like sirens going on, basically saying like, "Yo, shit's about to get crazy." And then coming from the end of the wall, there's like rubble. It looks like it had like collapsed. So it's like this base is already falling apart, and it's like a blocked pathway that looks kind of like a mirror effect. That you should be continuing down that pathway, but it kind of turns you because it's blocked and forces you to do like a right turn.
And that kind of sends you into what the first like main room would be. So you're going to go through the typical meat locker hangars, and then immediately as you go through, on your left-hand side, you'll find a xenomorph just kind of busting through a vent. So you get your first scare. And it's, as we said, a very impressive looking xenomorph as well. So I think this, from what I remember, this was like kind of set the full tone of the house for me. I saw that first xenomorph, I was like, damn, this is going to be really good. This whole room, though, it had like heavy strobe light usage. It had a lot of SIF and like hanging piping. And then you kind of go down like this short, dark hallway that would take you into the next room.
Yeah, I remember this house in general just being like a sensory overload. I remember there's just being like a lot of sounds and smells and like SIF in your face. So from there, you kind of just continue down and you enter in a lab where there's like computer monitors on your left-hand side. And it looks like they're kind of depicting like research being done on, it looks like the xenomorphs. And then on a wall to your right, it looks like there's like a further research going on. And you kind of continue down and then you see like a room with 2 incubation tanks, right, guys?
Mm-hmm. Yes. This is where I'm now drawn in. It plays a huge part for me in the houses. I'm sure a lot of other people too. But when you go in and you start hearing that kind of, it's very alien, like that radar sound. The thing it was always on Hicks' gun, from what I remember. But since you're hearing that, and it's very distinctive to that movie, and you just kind of have that spaceship, even though I guess you're in a laboratory, but you have that like. I'm not sure what hexagonal feel. I'm not sure what shape it exactly is. It's not for the strict 4 walls and the lighting and the computer monitors and that sound. I am sold like just 10 steps into this building.
Oh yeah.
It was very immersive for sure.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it really sucks you in. It makes you feel like you're in this this base that is being attacked by 2 different types of races of aliens.
Right.
And then kind of from there, you're at the incubation tanks, and the first one is like empty, and it looks like something has broken out of it, and the glass is shattered. And then the second has like a face hugger that was like occasionally would jump around. It was like a mechanical prop that would literally like the face hugger would like lunge at you.
Yes.
You guys remember that?
Yeah,
absolutely.
And then to your left, you actually see like a predator like laying on the bed. So it's like some sort of like autopsy room, I guess I would call it. And you see a predator with like green glowing goo and like a giant like a chest burster hole in its belly where it had just busted through. And then to your right, you kind of get your first human boo hole, right? Where it's kind of there's like a worker who is like has his face burned with acid. If I remember.
Yep. Yeah, that's what it seemed like it was.
Right. Yep. He's holding his face from what I remember, and then when he like screams and lets his hand down, you kind of see that burn, almost melted look where he had his hand covered, and I guess it was a scream trigger. I tend to, when I get immersed in these houses, I forget about the speakers and kind of remember the people actually screaming, but I'm sure he wasn't screaming every 20 seconds or he had no voices. So that was a trigger.
I never think about that in houses. So I'm totally with you there.
Yeah, they're so good at that.
Oh man, that had a lot of audio triggers.
Right.
But it didn't. No, absolutely not. I'm fully immersed. So then you kind of enter another room. This is the first time in the house. It's going to be a common theme where things get like really dark. So it's going to be a hallway. And then this one kind of gets the anticipation going because you hear like that predator, like the growl they make, just like throughout that entire dark hallway. That's what you're hearing. You finally come up to a more lit area. There's like a couple windows along your left-hand side there. And then there's a really good mechanical prop of a facehugger with a jump scare, because the first one you could kind of see just he was sitting in the incubation tube. You know something's going to happen. This one is completely out of sight of the window and then comes flying out the window. Looks like he's going to land on your face. Of course, hits the window instead and falls back down. But one of my favorite jump scares, just because it's like one of the early ones. And you can see what they can do with that face hugger.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just past this, you're going to find another boo hole with a human jumping out. He just kind of jumps out like screaming in pain. And then this is one that has a lot of strobe lighting as he jumps out.
Yeah.
Typical boo hole. And then there's going to be one last scare within this room. And it's a predator. And he's just kind of standing in like this dark corner. He's not really doing too much. And he's really only being shown by those distant strobe lights. So he would kind of go from this absolute pitch black corner to you can kind of faintly see the predator. The one thing that stuck out the whole time was, though, you could see his like 3-pronged laser sight.
That's what I was going to say. You could see that first if you caught him at the very end of however long that hallway was, which to me was pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially when that room starts off with him, with the growls he makes.
Yep.
And then you see those lights and you're like, oh man, here we go.
I think there is one thing not in your notes before we move into like kind of the second act of this house, unless it's further in the house. Do you have the Predator kind of light camo effect listed anywhere here that I'm not seeing?
I don't think we do, actually.
We may be missing that. Yeah.
Before we get to that first Predator, and I think before the second human area where the humans were attacked, there was another set of screens that were kind of flanking I think it was like the left wall. They were like kind of they didn't have much imagery on them. They're just kind of there for scenic. And then you get to, I think, like the second to last screen. And if you happen to look at it, you would think it was just kind of like this dark kind of shot of the outside. But if you happen to be looking at it, you would see a Predator like he was squatting and he'd stand up and kind of turn his back and walk away in this screen. It was obviously a video, but it was, if you happen to catch that and not catch it before, it's a really nice surprise when you do finally see it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's like we were talking about earlier where that facehugger jumped at the window. It's along that wall.
Okay.
You're absolutely right. Yes.
Yeah, we just missed talking about it.
I kind of remember that because I didn't see it like my first 1 or 2 times. So it's like when I did see it, it's like, oh my God, there's something new. I thought I had the thing memorized by now.
Yeah. And I actually should have remembered this because I always love video effects when they work well. And I thought that was pulled off pretty well.
Yeah, I would say like the best houses have this, like when you go through like the 4th or 5th time and you notice like something that you never noticed before. You're like,
yes, you're right. Yep.
Yeah. Like not to go back to graveyard games, but I feel like that one, there was like scares in that I didn't notice until like 6 times in. I'm like, oh my gosh, like this one does that very well as well. Like there was a lot of things that you would notice about the 3rd, 4th time in.
I'd like to point out that I'm fully expecting this from Haunting of Hill House because of their 100+ hidden ghosts throughout the
yeah, that's definitely going to be one of those things for that. Yeah. All right. So from there, you walk through like a cornered transition hallway with flashing alarms and sirens blasting. You kind of see like a static prop of like a human head and neck that has been removed from its body and kind of laying on the table. Coming around that corner, you'll find a xenomorph busting through like piping and smoke effect and like strobes, and it kind of busts through, and another really good xenomorph puppet.
Yeah, that's just there's. Yeah, I do have one complaint about that. We'll talk about at the end about the xenomorph puppets, but it is so minor compared to how fantastic they are. They are. I miss them a lot.
Yeah,
I'm really interested to hear this minor complaint, but
okay.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah.
Go into the next room. Actually, one of my favorite rooms, just because of the kind of detail in it. Like you were talking about, like the sounds. So basically, you're walking in and you find like on your bottom right a bunch of eggs. It's like a xenomorph nest, I guess it would be. And you can actually hear like this. I don't know how to fully describe it, but like when things are sticky and they're dripping, it has like that sound. And then the wall there is actually sticky and gooey. So like fully immersing you into what that is.
Yeah.
And then to the left, you get another face hugger jump scare. And this one's like right at face level. And I loved when those were happening because, I mean, that's what a face hugger does. It feels like it's actually jumping out at your face. So love that. And then you'll actually get some more nesting area on the bottom left. What I loved about this room was just, I basically said it before, but how immersive it is. You actually feel like you're walking through this nesting area. Not really great scares throughout, but a nice room.
Yeah, the sound in this room was a really, really amazing. Like, it really sounded like you were in the nest. So from there, you kind of enter down a long hallway with an ominous score of blasting. taking an early exit from this area into a foggy room that's only lit by like small bright lights along the wall. Coming to the end of this long hallway, you'll find like a human like trapped along the wall. It's kind of like still kind of a part of the nest a little bit, right? Where they're like the humans are kind of like trapped into like the nesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like from the movies.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's definitely a movie element. I'm not sure. No, well, no, couldn't have been Alien, but definitely Aliens. It's like they would trap them and the rest from there. They'd trap them up there for the face huggers to immediately latch onto. And I guess impregnate. I never really thought of the term before.
Oh,
or
yeah, I guess so.
No, not just. I can't think of the other word I'm looking for. So, but yeah. Definitely from the movie, which was cool because we'd seen the egg room and that's where I expected to see it. And then when you turn and when you think, oh, well, I guess that'd be, you know, a little difficult to do night after night. And then you turn the corner. I'm like, oh, no, it's not. I'm so happy right now.
Yeah, one of them actually has like a chest burster like emerging from her, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so this is the one that's like pinned up against the wall and looks like she's like kind of dying already. And then with the flash of a strobe light and the sounds, the chest burster comes popping out. Makes his appearance.
And then to your right, I believe there's like a human soldier like shooting towards the chest burster.
Mm-hmm.
The sound. To talk about the sound again, the sound of those guns, that's so distinctively Alien as well. That was awesome to hear that track isolated in a trigger, and then with the flashing effect of the prop gun. That was another just like moment where I was like, I can't believe I'm able to experience this.
You know, I didn't even kind of think of it that way, but taking that from what you've only heard in the movies to actually experiencing just that sound, that is a huge piece of like what makes this house what it is. And like, right. Again, like we always talk about in this show how there's so many details you never even notice, but make you enjoy the house, and you just have no idea. And I'm finding this is one of them for this house.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, definitely. The sound effects really add so much immersiveness to this house for sure.
Mm-hmm. So after this, you're actually going to turn into another like kind of pitch black room. After walking through for a couple seconds, you just hear the noises. It's dark. You come across a man. He's on the ground, you can tell, and he's telling you to run. And then you get a reveal with strobe lights that he's actually kind of being pulled into the ground by an alien of some sort. Could be a xenomorph. I couldn't completely call it out. I don't know what it was exactly. But as you're walking by, a bunch of screams still from him as he's being dragged down lower. Then you come around the corner, and then a bunch of flashing red lights, sirens. There's a like heavily damaged area with a lot of rubble. And then to your left, you're going to see like a hanging human body that's hung by its feet. It's just like behind like a caged door, I guess it would be, or caged fence. And a predator just kind of pushes the human body out of the way and like comes at you and all the way up to the fence. And that is
the predator
scares.
It was the Predator hero moment. I was like, this was because we've even talked about it. We've seen quite a few xenomorphs from now, and there's been some Predator appearances, but I was waiting for that grand face-to-face Predator meeting, and it did not disappoint. It was awesome.
Oh, it was great. And it's funny that you say that, because when we were doing a little more research about this, me and Mike were saying like, I don't remember just how many xenomorphs there were in this house compared to Predators.
Yeah.
It kind of takes forever until you get like to really see Predators come out.
Yeah.
And I mean, across it, it's still xenomorph heavy and just alien heavy in general. But this specific scene kind of gives the Predators all the shine they need.
Yep.
Yeah, this is kind of the Predator. We're kind of moving into a little bit of like the Predator area, where the Predator is definitely featured kind of right here and a little bit further as well.
Right, yeah. And I think me and some friends I know we were. I think my friends actually coined it. We were calling it Aliens then Predator for a little while.
Yeah.
I mean, we still loved it, but you kind of had to acknowledge the fact that it was you kind of had those two divisions for a little while in this house.
Yeah, they're not really blended super well together. If you had to say one knock about this, it's not necessarily Alien versus Predator. It's kind of like like you say, alien then predator.
Yeah.
Kind of works for me though.
I
mean, if you go by the movies again,
yep.
The predator is like the hero in the end that comes out and helps. So I can roll with that.
Yeah.
All right. So from there, you kind of go through those plastic slats again, and you encounter Hicks, and he's shouting, "You want some of this?" And then as he's like firing the gun across the hall, coming around the corner, you find another xenomorph that has kind of busted through glass and is lunging at you. To the left, you find another soldier kind of firing at him with like a handgun this time, directing you to kind of get down and escape. And then I think they're saying things like, "Let's move it. Let's go. We don't got time to waste." That type of thing.
Yep. And then this kind of brings you into something you don't see at Horror Nights anymore, and maybe we won't see again.
And a man of my age is happy about it, but I enjoyed it back then.
So what we're referring to is I would actually have to duck to crawl through this vent that you were being alluded to that you have to escape.
Oh, awesome.
So this entire little hall that you're ducking, it's not like fully on your knees or anything, but you have to get down like probably a full foot of ducking.
Yep.
And this vent is like heavy strobe lighting, and you get your final scare like at foot level. Busting out of a vent is a xenomorph. And then that's it. You exit the house right after that.
That xenomorph, the first time I saw it, got me so good that I ended up whacking my back on something, not terribly hard, but it's like you said, you weren't on your knees, but you're hunched over. So my reflex was to I apparently jump up, and I not real hard and not an injury, but enough that I bumped into something from just reflectively standing up, and I was happy about it. It's like if it got me that good, that was a good thing.
Yeah, it's worth the pain. Absolutely.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And I'm one of the belief that the like foot level scares are like the absolute scariest.
Yeah.
I'm at the point where not too much is gonna get me. I can occasionally get caught off guard, but those foot scares, that's one that I'm always kind of oh crap, okay. What's his name in Us? I can't remember. Pluto. Thank you. When he was there, that was the best scare in the house by far.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that basically covers going over through the house. Then we like to kind of we have like different scales we like to go over about what we kind of, as a general rule, what we thought of the house. So one of the scales we have is called the scary scale. Basically, how scary we felt the house was. What do you guys think? Where does this fall in a scale of 1 to 10?
For me, it's not like absolutely terrifying, but it had some good scares, and I put it around the 7 range personally.
Yeah, this one, the scary is always subjective. Everyone finds something different scary. But for me, it was definitely not necessarily super scary house, but more kind of immersive fun house. But yeah, I would kind of put it in that same range. What about you, Matt?
Yeah, I'm the same way. Actually, I made it a 6 because it's not the scariest house, and it does have the disadvantage of when you go through it 2-3 times, you kind of know where all the xenomorphs are because they're in the same spot. So you are able to prepare yourself for them. You don't have that necessarily random human factor. But it had enough now and again that it wasn't quite below a 5, so I bumped it 1 more up instead of 6 on this.
Yeah, no, that's a fair rating, I think. So you want to call it a 6.5?
Yeah, sure. Perfect. I'm interested to know what's your one thing you said was flawed about the xenomorph.
Okay, yeah, the xenomorphs. I would now. I mean, I know that they couldn't make them constantly drip and drool because that'd be difficult, and it'd probably be dangerous if you got the right stuff and had people slip all over it. But beyond that, they never looked. They looked a little too dry. I know that might be a weird description, but it looked like there should have been a little more glossy sheen to them, a little more kind of that wet. Because the xenomorphs were always drooling, always looked like they were wet or kind of like a viscous slime all over their body. These were a little too dry looking, but that is a Matt going through the 10th time nitpick. I mean, before that, it didn't matter.
I'll be completely honest. It's never crossed my mind, but you are 100% right. If you think back to any of the Alien franchise movies, if you're seeing like a close-up shot, a large focus of that is like the dripping drool or whatever is coming off their mouth.
It's a very drippy movie, yeah.
Yes.
But like that's like a focal point of the close-up shots that you notice. And like you're right, there is absolutely none of that on the puppets. Like you said, there's probably very good reason for that.
Yes.
But I guess it didn't take away from it for me because I literally didn't notice till now. But that is absolutely accurate.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so the next scale that we have is the immersive scale. I like to say this is the one. What's the one that kind of takes you out of the Halloween Horror Nights event and puts you into whatever environment they are trying to build for you, and makes you forget that you're in a theme park? How well do you guys think it did this?
Very well.
Yeah.
I don't think that was a big secret for me to agree that.
Yeah, no, definitely. This one was very immersive.
It's like one of those ones that you kind of look towards a 10, but I can't go all the way 10, so I'll give it a 9.
Yeah, I'm 100% on there with you. I mean, 10 is just something that's almost a one of those moments. I don't even know. I said once in a lifetime about this house coming here, but maybe that is a way to say that, like when you completely don't realize you're in an event at a theme park. It doesn't happen all the time. It comes very close, but it doesn't happen. And this was very close, but I'm with a 9 as well because it's hard not to, because I did love walking into this every night I went.
Yeah, definitely. That which leads us to our fun factor. So basically, just like how big of a grin do you have while you're in the house, as well as thinking back at the house? When you basically after you step out of the house, how do you be like, man, that was fun as hell? How high do you think this one was? I loved this one. I'd
call it fun as hell, as you'd say. Yeah. Again, really high, like the 8-9 range for me.
Yep. I went 9 again because it was the that was the one for me that year. I mean, I think I had more individual moments, and we did talk about them on our show because we had some new friends going with us, and it's always fun getting a first timers experience. But for me personally, it was all about this house, so it's a solid 9 for me.
Mike?
Yeah. Definitely, I would say definitely a 9, almost pushing 10. I can't think of it just ticks all the boxes for me, man. You know, it has really cool things to see, a cool story. It ticks all the boxes, like cool special effects, sound effects, mechanical props, static props, puppets. It has it all.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. It does have a lot of Halloween Horror Night elements. I mean, it probably has almost all of them minus 3D. I mean, we've got couple screen effects, we got the mechanics, we got puppets, we got actors. So I didn't really realize how many Halloween Horror Night or foundations of Halloween Horror Night were in this house till this conversation.
I think really, as far as non-3D houses go, the only thing you're missing at this point is like a bungee.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Otherwise, I think it literally has everything.
Yep.
Disney kind of has had the copyright on the bungee xenomorph though at this time, so
sure.
It wouldn't surprise me if that actually was the case.
Another one of the scales we like to go over, which I kind of have to attribute to Catacombs of Halloween Horror Nights. This is the hotness factor. Because you guys always talk about the hot house, and I think we kind of have definitely borrowed that term from you guys.
Oh,
I think are the original, the original coning of the hot house. So, what do you guys think? Is this one have any hotness factor at all? I would say probably not. No?
Well, I think it probably depends what your Google searches look like. Personally, it's at a 0 for me. Nico might be at like a 9. I'm not sure.
Well, you didn't see the art that my girlfriend drew in high school about xenomorphs. So.
Oh, there we go.
True story.
Oh, geez.
Maybe we should give it a 2 then, because some people might be really excited about this.
Maybe I'll contact her and see if she still has any of that.
Moving on to Gore factor. This one is subjective as well because I wouldn't say there's anything traditionally gory in this one. Not a lot of blood and guts necessarily. A few moments, but nothing too crazy. But there is a lot of alien gore in this one. Where would you guys put this one in the traditionally gory house? I would kind of put it middle of the road to low, just because it's not your traditional blood and guts and slice and dice type of house.
I'd agree that it's middle of the pack. Mainly because there is some gore, but it's coming more from predators, and you got green blood instead of red blood. And you do have the human who's been decapitated. You have some acid burns, so that adds to it a bit.
Yeah, the chest burster out of the girl who's stuck in the nest. So there's
I could see being right in the middle at like a 5.
Yeah.
Mine's I was gonna say I actually went a little lower when I wrote it down. I wrote down a 3 because it's not that gory. It's kind of, I gave 1 point for every movie element. I'm like, we had the chest burster, we had the skinned body, and then we had the predator chest burster with the green blood. So that was me stretching to find gore, and that's fine. I mean, I didn't mind at all. It wasn't gory, but I don't think gore is a very high element in this house at all.
Yeah, I'd agree with that for sure.
Okay.
So we could do it at like a 4. I'd say it's a good number then.
Yeah, okay. That works. And then the last one we like to do is we call it the legacy prediction. This one is how well is this going to stand the test of time, or people look back at Halloween Horror Nights, mostly fans like Halloween Horror Nights nerds. We going to look back and think about this one, that how it basically affected the event and how much we think about it fondly.
So I think it's going to be decently high. I think it's probably one of the better IPs they've had, to be honest. And I think it has a huge benefit of being massive properties involved too. So probably like a 7 to 8 for me.
Yeah, I would say it's a 7. I think the best thing about this one is from it kind of encapsulates like the time period of Halloween Horror Nights from this like IP focused years. It kind of it's one of those kind of IPs. It kind of reminds me a lot of some of the other IPs from these years too, where you get to like the Resident Evil houses, and you get to the Silent Hill and the Thing from 2011. It kind of reminds me of some of those like IP houses, but it's definitely like one of the biggest IPs they've ever grabbed, and that has such a fan lore as well, and they do it better than some of those other houses as well. So I feel like if you take a look at some of the houses from this IP focused time period at Halloween Horror Nights, this is going to be like the crown jewel, if you will.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I'd agree with that. Actually, I had 7 as well, but I did have a what would you call it? A kind of a caveat to that. I think it would be a 7 in regular conversation, comparing years, talking about IPs, like kind of general subjects. But if you bring it up next to another sci-fi property like Interstellar Terror or Dogs of or Derailed or anyone that might come in the future, then I think to people it would be they'd actually be talking about it even more so, and probably more talking about it like it was a 9 in that condition. Right. But we don't have that every year, so I would stick with 7. But I do put that kind of that asterisk saying if you're ever going to talk about it in a sci-fi realm, then it would be regarded as a 9.
I mean, if you're putting this next to Interstellar Terror, this is like an 11 probably.
All right. Well, that basically does all the scales. Does anybody have anything else they want to say about AvP or 24 or anything else we talked about?
I will say to kind of bookend my comments, the whole once in a lifetime thing when this was announced was, I mean, that's how I felt when it came along. Then Quint and I started doing our podcast, and Hollywood, the next year we started doing our podcast, Hollywood decided to bring their house back for 25. That was a huge factor in me and him deciding to go cover both events that year so that we could experience this again because we liked it so much, and just to kind of get the full experience under our belt. But theirs was different. There was a lot different to it, including the Queen. I mean, that's a huge difference. But again, from never thinking I'd do this to doing this 2 years in a row in 2 different places was just really unreal.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how did you feel the Hollywood version compared?
If I had my choice of the 2, I'd want to see the Orlando again. How's that for an answer? Diplomatic answer.
I'll take it.
Yeah. Well, that was so much fun, guys. I really enjoyed that. Matt, thank you so much again for joining us. If you want to hear Matt talk about this house and 24 in general, this is his most recent kind of look back. Do you have an official term for what you call those, Matt?
It's it's just our look back, I guess, is a way to say it, because it was what the series was supposed to be, so we didn't have to define episodes. But of course, it's we have 160 episodes, and there was only 24 years when we started, so it's a little hard to say every episode's about a year at that point. But yeah, so we never really did define it. I'd say look back. That's the best way to say it. Yeah.
So his most recent one, with you and Quint, it just was released a couple of months ago, so that is out there. Definitely, if you want to hear more about 24 in this house, definitely go listen. It is a really great set of 2 podcasts.
Thank you, and let me thank you guys, of course, for having me on, even though I kind of guilted my way on during our the helping Hans drawing, where we did the prize drawing. I was very vocal about Hunter being on this show and me not being on, and somehow you guys picked up on that request. I mean, I thought that was pretty subtle. You guys can read between the lines. That was pretty impressive.
Yeah, we were able to pick up on that. But,
you may not believe me, Matt, but I Duff will remember that back when we were first basically start talking about, okay, we've been doing this for a couple of weeks. This is starting to catch on. Let's have a guest. My first name that came out of my mouth was yours, Matt. And Duff's like, oh, it's way too early. Way too early to have Coach. No,
it's true.
He's like, well, let's wait. So I've been wanting to have it on this show for a long time.
Well, that's very flattering. That was a lot of fun. I mean, I hope we get to do more shows again together. This is technically the second time we've all talked together, so I'd love to do it again. I think when shows like ours, we're very niche, but we're very part of a very passionate community. And I think when we have, the more we can share and talk and have fun, I think it's just another benefit to the community. It's like that old phrase. We have it in the industry I work in as well. It's the rising tide raise alls. I fucked that up. Oh, I hope I can curse on this show.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Hell yeah. You can.
Was it a rising tide raises all boats or something like that? I totally messed it up now. But it's like, I'm very happy to have these conversations. I could talk about Horror Nights. Well, ask my wife, to the point where I put someone to sleep that doesn't like it as much. So no, that's a great time. I had really, really enjoyed this tonight.
Oh, well, we'll have you back as often as you'd like to come back. So we will talk Halloween Horror Nights.
I'll put out another subtle hint when I'm ready to come back on our show.
Well, yeah, we listen to the show every week, so yeah, definitely just a little.
Oh, nice.
You don't need to reach out to us. Just say it on the show, and we will eventually we'll catch it.
We're just a little late this time because quarantine, it's got.
Yeah. Oh, geez, it's a.
I listed up my drive to work, and there's no drive to work right now, so
Yep.
Duff will always text me and be like, "Hey, did you listen to the most recent Catacombs? Hunter just mentioned our show. He wouldn't."
Oh no, I was just gonna say, it's just listening and doing shows like what we do. We're relying on things happening, and just nothing's happening. Although, I mean, I'd say that this week was a bizarre exception to this season. It's been a really strange preseason this year.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, for sure. And it's funny, not to call anyone specifically out here, but I do remember there was a podcast who started probably early this year or late last year about being a year-round HHN podcast. And after one episode, they said, oh, it's too hard to do a year-round HHN episode. And throwing on these constraints to it. Oh, man.
Oh,
and we're 32 deep, baby.
Yeah, I don't think it's hard because I could just talk about it all day.
Right.
But that really speaks to like just how little news there is. You have to come up with your own things here. And I think, like you were saying, there's a very diehard community here. So if we're talking Horror Nights, people are going to listen.
Oh yeah. It's a fun community. It's I'm not going to say everything's perfect. Hell, every show we are basically every show we do on Neozaz is pop culture related, so none of them are perfect. But I'd say this is in the top 3 of the shows we do, the community wise. That is just so much fun to be a part of. So I love it. I didn't even know. I knew there was the fandom, and I knew there was the websites and the forums and the bulletin boards. I was a member of all those, but I guess I never put myself out there enough to know what it was until we did the show, and it's just an amazing thing.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Absolutely.
And I think that's kind of why we started a podcast. You know, we want to be deeper into the community.
Yeah. Oh, it definitely does that.
Yeah, definitely.
And then we've kind of covered this for the most part, but is there anything you wanted to plug, Matt?
Oh, no, I'm just happy to be on. I'll just say if you're interested in any of that stuff I was talking about, just neozaz.com is where everything that we've done media related, mostly I'd say 99% podcast. Our biggest pitch, I'll steal it from my partner Dave, is it's all pop culture related. If you have an interest in pop culture, we probably have at least a special on it, if not a show. So that is it.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, guys. I really enjoyed talking about it, and thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week, and we'll see you in the streets.